This episode is brought to you by Hill's Pet Nutrition. Every shelter pet deserves a second chance, and you're making it possible for thousands of them every day. Because when you feed your pet Hills, you help feed a shelter pet, which helps make them healthy, happy, and more adoptable, changing their life forever. So they can change yours. Over 14 million shelter pets fed and adopted. Science did that. Visit hillspet.com/podcast to learn more.
May is National Bike Month, so today on CityCast Boise, we invited the Boise Bicycle Project to share all the info you need to get the most out of local biking. We're covering how to get a new bike on any budget, an easy way to get your current bike repaired, plus the lowdown on the best trails and places to ride in town. It's Tuesday, April 30th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Today, Whitney Schrader and Matt Schlimgen from the Boise Bicycle Project are joining me today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Whitney, the Boise Bicycle Project has a vision of making Boise the biking capital of America. That's a really bold goal.
It is a bold goal. We are a place where we say all people are welcome and all bikes belong. We're a nonprofit organization that hosts different events. We have a number of programs, and we also have a shop that's open to the community where we bring in bikes and can help with repairs. And then we give away hundreds and hundreds of bikes every year. And we also have an advocacy team that works on promoting bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure here in Boise. So a lot of moving parts and pieces to reach that vision.
So what kind of work have you been able to do to make Boise a better place to bike?
So we have our advocacy director. Her name is Nina, and she has led BBP's advocacy committee that goes out into the community, and they've made an incredible impact on our streets in partnership with ACHD in the city of Boise. They use public testimony, letter writing campaigns, bike rides, and all sorts of community outreach efforts to do this. And just in the past year, they've helped with improvement projects on 8th Street and Capitol Boulevard. You may have noticed improved bike lanes on 11th Street and 15th and 16th Street. Some notably maybe have noticed those little turtles or armadillos in the road between the bike lane and the vehicle lane. And so those are to increase safety for bicyclists as they ride. And we're continuing to do a lot of different work in partnership with ACHD in the city of Boise.
I think that's amazing. Could you maybe implement a class for drivers to learn to be safe for people riding bicycles?
Yes, I think that is such a key component. Definitely drivers' education on how to drive with bicyclists and also in busy streets with pedestrians.
I think it's very necessary. I wanted to ask you, Matt, I recently realized that I'm the only person in my family who doesn't have a bicycle, which is a shame because I really do enjoy riding a bike. But it's been a little while since I've purchased a bike, so I'm not sure exactly where to start.
Yeah, the best thing that I would say to do is first start with an idea of what you want that bicycle for. Do you want it for commuting? Do you want it for mountain biking? Do you want it for gravel riding? And then really figuring out where your budget's at with it. So the best thing that I would say if you're looking for a bike is to start with that idea of what you want the bicycle for. And then to basically just come down to our shop or another shop, hopefully ours, and check out what we have that's refurbished or that may need a little work if you're looking for a project.
I definitely think it would be casually around town biking, greenbelt biking, just going to the grocery store, going to a park, something like that, that's really casual. So for that kind of city biking, but just very casually, what kind of bikes do we see around Boise for that?
We see all kinds of bikes. People will ride their full suspension mountain bike to the grocery store. Boise is fun in a way where people don't really most of the time say, I have this bike specifically for this purpose. They'll use their bike for anything, which is awesome. And it really breaks down the barriers between like, okay, now I have to buy a bike for commuting and a bike for mountain biking and a bike for all of this. Boise is really nice in the sense that you can ride your bike wherever you want, and it can be whatever bike. And that's really what we strive for at Boise Bicycle Project, is that all bikes are valuable. And if it's a bike you like, do whatever you want on it. But if you do get more specific, specialized hard rocks and specialized stump jumpers have been really popular lately from the early 90s. And those make great commuters.
Okay, that's so good to know. Well, it's fun to hear that maybe like Boise casual, like how jeans can be formal wear in Boise, like a bike and a bike can be anything. It's a multi-purpose bike you're not going to be out of place in Boise. So now that I have a better idea of maybe what I'm looking for, or that, I can explore a lot of different options, where should I be buying a bike?
I mean, if you ask us, I'd say Boise Bicycle Project. One good reason for that is that if you buy a refurbished bike at Boise Bicycle Project, that's a bike that has been gone through by our mechanics twice. And the first time around, the mechanics go through and really fix up every mechanical system and bearing system on that bicycle to make sure that it's completely working and that it is completely safe. And then the second time, a mechanic goes through it and double checks all of those systems. So you're really getting the best bang for your buck, because these bikes are basically like new, but have had a life before you, and you're just making a second life out of them.
Some other bike shops that we really support and actually work with at Boise Bicycle Project are Reed's Cycle and George's Cycle. They're awesome. They help us with our Holiday Kids Bike Giveaway. They actually repair bikes for us during that event, which is an event every December where we give away over 500 bikes to kids in the Treasure Valley that our referral partners have identified that need a bike. And also McHugh Sports, Idaho Mountain Touring. There's so many awesome local bike shops to choose from. And those shops really sell, if you're looking again for a specific color, or maybe you want a cruiser, we sell those as well. But those shops mainly are for performance bikes. So if you're looking for the top of the line, but again, we like to promote that you don't need the best of the best necessarily, especially if you're someone new who hasn't ridden a bike much before. I actually ride a $500 mountain bike from REI that I've put thousands of miles on, and it's one of the cheapest entry-level mountain bikes, and I love it. And someday I think I'll upgrade. But so we really encourage people that are new to biking to maybe buy used or on that cheaper end, and then maybe go to a local bike shop to kind of purchase that those performance bikes.
Yeah. Thank you, Whitney. I really appreciate you bringing that up, because I just briefly have kind of looked at bikes. My family wants to be biking more together now. And there's a wide range of prices. And, on my budget, I was like, wow, like, do I really need to get that more expensive bike? Am I going to regret if I don't get that more expensive bike? So I'm really glad that there are these options where, I could check out Facebook Marketplace. I can check out Boise Bike Project and still make sure I have a bike that works, and that, if I get something more cost effective for my budget, it can still be a really great bike for, what I want to use it for.
Absolutely. And I think Matt hit the nail on the head by saying it really depends on what you want. And I think it's great to start out entry level, but really assessing what you actually want to use the bike for. You can use it, to your mountain bike to go to the grocery store, but being realistic about what you actually want to use your bike for is great in the purchasing decision.
Hear that? Believe it or not, summer is just around the corner. Luckily, Armor All, America's most trusted auto appearance brand, has what your car needs to get that perfect summer shine. Plus, now through May 31st, we'll give you $5 for every $20 you spend on Armor All products. That means car wash pods, protectant, tire shine, you name it. Find out how to get your $5 rebate at armorall.com. Armor All, less work, more clean. Terms apply.
Matt, when we were cleaning out our garage and I realized I don't have a bike, I also found all these bikes that my kids have that they've outgrown over the years. And I didn't realize how many we've had and just held on to all these years. And I was just wondering, like, what can I do with this bike that I'm no longer using, my kids have outgrown? What's something I can do with these bikes?
That's a great question, because a lot of people have the same situation where they have a bunch of bikes and they don't know what to do with them at all. We take donations in our back alley at Boise Bicycle Project. And even if the bike is, let's say, been sitting out in the weather for 5 years, we could still use that bike. And the reason I say that is that we can take parts off of it and put them onto a newer bike, put them onto a different bike, use the bearing systems for another bike to, again, make those bikes safe. And especially kids' bikes, we will take off the tubes and tires if it's not a functioning bike, and we use those on another bike. So we really find value in every bike, no matter the condition or the size or the age of it. We use those bikes to their fullest. And otherwise, if they're in really good condition, we try to fix them up and turn them around and give them back into the community.
Switching gears a little bit, and that pun was absolutely intended. What trails do you encourage people to ride their bikes on in the spring or summer? We've really been talking about, city riding, but what about trail riding?
So we have so many amazing trails here in Boise. That's one of the draws of living here. And my favorite trail in the springtime is called Watchman Trail. You can do a loop with 5 Mile Gulch, Watchman, and 3 Bears. It's about 6 miles, medium difficulty, but it has the balsam root flowers everywhere. It's completely yellow and covered in flowers this time of year. And it's really, really awesome to take a bike on. Maybe not the most entry level, but it's an awesome trail. We also have a great bike packing community here in Boise. If you want to take your bike, load it up with camping gear, and hit some of Boise's back roads and trails. And we have a really awesome group here called Idaho Women's Bikepacking that takes women and women identifying folk to different parts of Idaho via bike. And one of the coolest loops that we've done with them is the Warm Lake Wanderer near Yellow Pine, where you can go for a swim and go camping and just have all of these scenic views while being by the water. It's a great summer loop to do. So if you're interested in taking your bike on adventures, they take people of all abilities in that group on these rides.
Yeah, for me, I would say I really like the Foothills Trails on like Camel's Back Park outside of that and Military Reserve. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of great entry-level things to ride around there. I just rode Polecat last night as well, which is another great entry-level mountain biking single-track trail. And the thing that I love about Boise is that all the trails that we've mentioned around the foothills are connected to each other through, it may be over one hillside, or it could be 25 miles of single track between you and another trail, but you can connect them all if you're really feeling gung-ho. And that's what I love about riding mountain bikes, at least, and trails in Boise, is that you can ride for hours and not do the same trail.
So as cyclists, what are your safety tips for riding around the city? We've had some tragedies recently regarding bike riding. So what are ways that people can really safely bike around Boise?
Yeah, what I think about is trying to be seen as much as possible while riding safely. So definitely using bike lanes, and Boise's getting a lot better at using those protected bike lanes like Whitney mentioned earlier. But for me personally, I run lights day and night.
When you say run lights, as someone who isn't necessarily a cyclist, what does that mean?
Oh yeah. So that means I just have lights that are flashing on the front and the back of my bike, on my seat post and on my handlebars. And those lights are very bright, and I make sure that they're shining straight. And at night, I turn them down a little bit so that I'm not blinding drivers. If you're driving in the community, make sure that you're communicating with cyclists, looking over your shoulder before you make a right turn if there's a protected bike lane, and really ensuring that you are doing your due diligence as far as driving and cycling, because it's a back and forth, and there's a ton of cars, there's a ton of cyclists, and just communicating and giving people enough space is really important.
Whitney, what are some great places around Boise for families to ride?
Yes, I think the most iconic place that we all really appreciate is the Green Belt. The city of Boise has done a great job maintaining the Green Belt and allowing users to enjoy it. And so that is one of my favorite places to ride safely. And I think we see a lot of families ride on there as well. It's also a great place to travel throughout Boise, right? So branching off from the Greenbelt, you can take 8th Street to a lot of different places in downtown. 8th Street cyclists can take up the full lane, and usually cars, I've noticed, are very considerate of bicyclists because they see them often using those roads. There's also a section of 8th Street that is just for walking and biking only, which closes it off from cars and makes it feel safe. So if you're in the downtown area, the Greenbelt and 8th Street are a great place. Also, just biking around public parks in those areas are great for families as well.
Okay, how would you rate Boise? 0 being the worst city for bikes, 10 being best city for bikes. Where does Boise rank for bicyclists?
That's really hard because we have had so great progress in protecting bicyclists and bicycle lanes and pedestrians, but we've also had a lot of downsides and a lot of people getting hit by cars, either on a bicycle or as a pedestrian. And so it's hard to say, well, it's great because there's been so much tragedy. I would say it's a work in progress, so like a 5 or so, but it has the potential to become a 10. And I think with all the work our advocacy team is doing and all the work that they're doing with the city in order to make it that 10, there's still a long ways to go, but we've already gone up from it being like a 3 or a 4 to being a 5 at this point in my mind.
So lots of potential to be better.
Yeah, a ton of potential. Places like West Boise don't have the same infrastructure as downtown Boise, and even up on the bench. So thinking of Boise as a whole, there's a lot of room for growth.
Whitney, how can people get involved with the Boise Bicycle Project?
2 of the easiest and best ways to get involved are, 1, you can become a member of our shop, which is less than $9 a month for most folks. And in that membership, you get unlimited access to our shop. So you get to come and work in a stand with your bike with one of our mechanics, and can always keep your bike running that way. So we operate kind of like a co-op and a workspace for people. Members also support everything we do financially with that membership, and they get a lot of discounts on parts. We do social rides where we get together in a group and ride to different places for different activities. We also have big events, such as maybe you've heard of the Goat Head Fest that we put on annually. And so checking our event calendar on our website at boisebicycleproject.org is a great way to see what we've got going on to kind of plug into our community. The advocacy committee is also a great way to be involved. And then finally, to volunteer with us, you don't have to be a bike mechanic to volunteer with us. We're looking for all sorts of support with admin tasks, with helping, just in so many different ways. And so signing up to be a volunteer, we can surely plug people in somewhere and have them join our community. So.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Whitney and Matt. Thanks for your expertise and all this information for the community. Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend about us? And make sure to check out the Idaho Gives BFF block party tonight from 4 to 8 p.m. in the Lusk District. We'll be back tomorrow morning with your guide to May. You won't want to miss it.